Welcome.
Okay. Uh, Evening, everyone. This is the cast assessment for the All Seeing Eye 2 Double Jeopardy. We've got the 4 members of production. We've got the winner and third place players from Taze 1. And we've got Connor because Julian seems to have invited him here and none of us really know why.
Because Connor is amazing for assessments, and you will see that firsthand.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Except he said there was a million Kevins.
No, that was Jack. Or no, that was Jimmy actually.
Don't
Jimmy
accuse
doesn't-
me of shit.
Two Kevins.
Anyway, just to let the people on the call know what's going on, for a couple of them it's slightly before the players find out. So, as has been heavily advertised, there is a game show theme to this season, which means that there's not so much one big twist as there are 3 different little things, all that kind of tie in with game shows. So first of all, as much as I hate them usually, game shows often have like lucky loser style things, so there will be a buyback in this season. The first, I think it's 5 players to get knocked out, will each draw a random envelope. 3 of those will have play again and will get the chance to win their way back in through a competition. The second one is the other 2 are both risk reward things. One is specifically for an outgoing head of house. The outgoing head of house will have the option, they do not have to, they will have the option to choose a number from a number wall. They could get something good. The top prize is that they will not have to sit out any HOHs ever, even if they're coming off the back of an HOH. Another possible one is to have a second head of household reign immediately after the first. However, the worst prizes are to never be able to play in a veto for the whole season, and not to be able to win head of household with the exception of final 3. And then there's a few other bits that are sort of somewhere in the in the middle. It's entirely up to them whether they take the risk or not.
Quick question about that. Will they know anything about the wall other than there are good and bad things? Will they know, like, there's a potential to always be able to play HOH, or there's a potential that you will never play veto?
I am planning on telling them the top and bottom prizes, but not anything in the middle. And there will be a few numbers on the wall, which is just absolutely fuck all and nothing happens. The other one is for the non-HOH players. In between the head of household and the veto competition, there will be a mini comp. Again, it is optional whether you choose to play it or not. The winner of it each week will win a little prize to potentially help them in the way, something like an extra vote or a never not pass or something along those lines. The loser every week will become one of the have-nots. Have-nots punishments vary from the ridiculously silly to the actually potentially, game-destroying. So, and they're all going to be jumbled up. It's not going to get progressively harsher. It's just going to be whatever I felt like. So it's completely optional whether they choose to play. But if they do play, then they take their life into their own hands. And then obviously all the comps are either based on game shows, or I've taken the titles of game shows and made comps that have absolutely no relation to those game shows, but they work as a title. So yeah, that is what's going to be going on. And now we can go through the cast assessment. I'm going to go in order of reveal. I don't really mind what order people go in. all I'm going to ask is that when you're discussing somebody, if you could please give me where you think they are going to come out of 17, and I will make a little note. Don't just sort of go, they'll make jury or whatever. Just give me a number. Don't particularly mind if you end up, because you can't remember what you've already said, putting two people in the same position, but give me a number and we'll see how close everybody gets by the end of the season. I am going to post the next cast reveal whilst you all please start talking about Keaton.
So who wants to start? Because I think
Hey,
we
Jack.
all have a lot to say.
Jack, would you like to start talking about your brother?
Oh, fuck off. Keaton and I have known each other for a long time. And when I say long, I mean my first on-camera org that actually decided to finish, Anthony, you still know what you did, was 1984 Season 1. And Keaton was one of my allies in that game. Yes, he did end up fucking me over, but that just means I've known him for so long that, I know his personality really well. So, he is a very, very chaotic figure. He will do the stupidest things, say the stupidest things. You really can't predict him at all. Although there is one thing that I do want to mention, from what I also played with him in Discord Whodunit, I was able to basically drag him on a leash to the end. So he will either do really well by floating, do really well by being a chaotic force, or go out early. So my bet, I am going to say 4th. Just because I feel like he could be dragged along or he could go crazy. But either way, he's not going to survive till the very, very end of the game.
All right.
Keaton, all right. So, it's no surprise that I'm pretty tight with Keaton. We do co-host Trinity together. So I'm going to try to keep this objective. Keaton is, as I'm sure all of us know, a massive crackhead in games. As people would affectionately refer to him, Crackhead Keaton. I really can't put a solid placement on where he's going to land, because he's a competent player, but he also enjoys chaos. And by enjoys chaos, I mean destroys his own game for absolutely no reason other than he feels like it that day. So, I honestly don't really know where to put Keaton. Because, I'm just going to quote Jabbar from the New Beginnings cast assessment. There's two sides of Keaton. There's the competent Keaton, who knows how to play the game, who gets shit done, who makes a run for it. And then there's Crackhead Keaton, who starts fights, who starts chaos, who blows up his own game. It depends on what Keaton he decides to be within the first couple days. That's what he's going to roll with. Now, with this cast, I do think he could be a serious contender, but it's Keaton. So, we all know what we're getting with him by now. I'm going to give him a middle-of-the-road placement to average out the fact that he could be first boot or last boot. So let's go with 9th, because that is, I think, the middle.
Sorry, I'm just reacting to your last update, and
Yes, player number 16, yes.
Wait, before we say the numbers, can we know at least who the last person is? Because maybe I want to say Keaton for 17th, but then you release, I don't know.
Okay, the last person is Alex Jackson.
Yeah, we were gonna save him as last for a reason to kind of surprise people with his big return.
Connor. Connor's
wait.
gonna have so many words for that one. Yay!
Wait, sorry. Who's 16?
Blake.
Blake Murphy.
Blake.
Is that Rainbow King?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I can go. Keaton. Yeah. I mean, kind of just piggybacking what they said. Unfortunately, he's a fucking crackhead. He's annoying. So I'm gonna also read Grace's thoughts because you guys bullied her off call. So I'm gonna do my Grace impression. This guy is crazy, LMFAO. He comes up as really obnoxious, but he uses that as a strategy to get dragged to the end. I think this cast is gonna figure out what he's really capable of and get like early mid-jury. So that's Grace's thoughts. I'm gonna be an asshole, and he thought I was gonna get second boot in Trinity, and I proved him wrong. So he can get fucking second boot, and he can get 16. So how about that? How about that? How about that? 16. Bitch. And also Blake will probably get last, because fuck him.
Tim making it all about him. Is anyone surprised? Okay, so the one thing I will say about Keaton is he always enters the game with connections up the wazoo because he's in like every single community at this point. So it's like he always knows a lot of people. Where that is a lot of times a blessing, it is also a lot of times a curse. My gut is gonna say 14th for Keaton. I see him getting past a few rounds and then like walking out the door, just blatantly just be like, okay, bye guys. And then like, wait, Keaton, where are you going? I got some crack to snort. Okay, bye Keaton.
All right, my turn. So I only know the Keaton that goes out.
Did Connor actually give a position? Sorry.
Well, I know it. Whatever.
Yeah,
I
he
said
said 14. He did say
14. Sorry. I'm logging at the same time.
All right, so I only know the Keaton that goes out early. I've never gotten to work anywhere into a game with him at all. It seems to me he's always put himself in positions where he had no fallback position. There was just all or nothing, and he winds up on the wrong side of that. So when I'm not in games with him, though, I see him do pretty well. And I think with this cast, there's a lot of places for him to hide. I see him going a little bit further and then trusting the wrong people at the wrong time. So 6th or 7th? 7th.
So I think it's my turn. I've never played with Keaton or seen him play. The only interaction I have is with Trinity. So I'm interested to see how he does. I think there is some room in this cast for him to get in with some majority. I do see him making jury, but I don't see him making it too far. So I'm gonna go with 8.
Okay. So that leaves me. I'm kind of gonna take a similar tack to Julian, which is that to me the thing with Keaton is that people seem to relate to him in one of 3 ways. Either people love Keaton, or people are neutral on Keaton but want to keep him on as a shield because he's like a lunatic and, you know, more problematic than they ever can be, or they dislike Keaton. To me, that combination is probably going to be good enough to see him into the jury phase, but I just can't see him not reaching a point where somebody who doesn't like him puts him up against someone who is more liked than he is. So I'm gonna match Kevin's placement. I'm gonna say 8th. Anyway, again, I won't go last all the time once I've got everything sorted. But for now, keep going with me last, please. And can you all start talking about Livingston?
So I'll go ahead and start with Livingston because I think I might be the highest on him out of all of us, because I've seen nothing of Losingston. The only Livingston I've ever seen is the Trinity Livingston, And I do think he's good in orgs. I think he has a really good personality that people inherently want to tell him things. And I think in this cast, I think he has a couple of openings there. And I don't know if he can make it all the way, because I fear that he's going to run into a similar thing that he did in Trinity, where about halfway through, people were going to start to realize that Livingston wins at the end. So I'm gonna say Livingston is gonna get third. And I really hope I'm not wrong, and he's gonna end up getting like 17th. But I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna say he gets in. I'm gonna say he's gonna be the most robbed of the season, in that he was the rightful winner that just got taken out at the very last second.
I'll just say Livingston. It's like the difference between what I want and what I think. I want him to go far. This cast, like with Nick and with some others, I don't know. He should be good to get to at least half of the place, but I would say for my personal, I think, is it bad? But I think he's going to get the same placement. I'm going to go with 8th. And then Grace says he's not a Big Brother expert and way better survivor, which I can see hinder him, but he has those social connections there that will help him. He's like early jury for me. So there you go. I'm thinking 8th. That's me.
All right. So first of all, I can admit when I'm wrong. Connor, you were the only person on the Trinity Cast assessment that was 100% correct about Livingston. All of us were wrong. Livingston absolutely thrives in orgs. I've hosted Livingston in group games several times. I've played with him in group games several times, and he just can't go the distance because he can't portray his personality through text. He can't portray it on like a forum. But you get him on a call, and he's a fucking star. So orgs are where he thrives, and I do think because of that, he's like, this is going to be where he gets his win. I don't know if it's going to be this game. I don't know if it's going to be another org, but I do think he's going to get his first win from an org. As for this specific one, if he like lays low, just has fun with people, this cast is going to murder each other. And like, there's a lot of crazies in this cast we'll get to later, but this cast is going to absolutely murder each other. And I do think Livingston can slip through. The one thing holding him back is Billy, because Livingston and Billy are going to be seen as a pair. Because they host together, they're friends. I think most of the cast knows this by now. So I do think Livingston's best option would be to drop Billy hard and fast and run far away from him. If he can do that, though, I do think he can make it far. I don't know if he's going to win with this cast, but I do see him making it far. I'm going to say it like 4th.
I guess I'll take the next shot. Livingston, I also played with in Trinity, and I've seen him around a lot before. I think he can use his Trinity connections well, but at the same time, he does not know Big Brother at all. He's a great Survivor player. I don't know about Big Brother, and that is the biggest wild card for me, because Survivor, you have to worry about always being in trouble. Big Brother, you can lay low if you are not in the line of sight for the HOH. So if I honestly think he may panic under, like, he may not have a perfect ally with someone, and he's going to panic and game to them, and then he's going to get exposed and fall off the bandwagon. I think he could also do some fake acting or deception because of his theater connection, but I honestly see him getting just after Jury, possibly like the first or second boot after Jury, but my official placement for him, I'm gonna say 10th. Just because I feel like he could expose himself very early as a big comp threat, and people can't have that as the numbers dwindle.
Yeah, that's true. I hadn't thought about
I was very high on Livingston, and I'm happy that he did well in Trinity. I mean, I do think I know a lot of people are talking about like the transition from just strictly Survivor to Big Brother. And maybe I'm just naive, but I don't think, maybe from my experience, but I don't think it's that big of a transition. As long as you don't like overly compensate to the biggest degree, I think you'll be fine. I mean, I think as long as he knows, like, okay, this is a different style of game. Let me like lay over the first couple of weeks to get an idea of what I'm actually doing here. It's not like it doesn't take long to understand, like, okay, this is what my strategy is. This is my objective here. I think he'll do well. I think he's likable enough, but I think he's also likable enough they won't let him get to where he could have a shot to win, like go on a comp run or whatever. I see him getting, I'm gonna say 7th.
I see him as a threat. I've gone after him in every game we've ever gone together, and he always outperforms me every single time. I can't see much fault in his game for that. But he does have some liability that comes with that. So he is more likable. He is more of a comp threat. I don't think they'll let him get it to the end either. But I think he's going to make it far with the rest of the people going after each other. I think I think 5th.
Okay. So for the second time in a row, I agree with someone else. In this case, it's Jack that I agree with. I do think, unlike Connor, that there is a bigger disconnect between Survivor and Big Brother games. I think whilst your skills can have some degree of crossover, there is a difference. I fear that the Billy connection is going to be problematic to him, and I also think that Billy is more likely to cut Livingston than Livingston is to cut Billy because Livingston's too soft. And I also think for every person who views him as a great ally, there will be someone who views him as a social threat. I do believe that he will get into Jury, but I see him in exactly the same place as Jack called him, which is 10th. So we are at least all agreed that he's going to make Jury. So, right, I am now needing to add people to a house chat. So I'm still going last, and the rest of you, please discuss Nick.
I really want to start with Nick because he is. Do I want to say it? He is someone I see making it to the end of this game, no matter what. I am going to praise them to the fucking ends of the earth. Nick is a very, very good player. They can have some trouble, especially with some connections within the cast. I think they can work really well with Keaton, Gwen, Blake. But there's also some rivals for them. Cameron, Heather, maybe Colby as well, depending on how they get along with him. Well, with Colby. I also see that they are dating Blake, which is interesting as a social game. I don't know. how Julian feels about this, and he might also comment on being in a game with someone you're dating. But he is a loud personality. He's a giant social threat, and I would bet him. Do I want to say it? Damn it. It's... Fuck it. Nick is my winner pick. I honestly think Nick is going to be someone who has a very, very strong shot to win this game. And judging by everyone else, oh God. Oh God.
I can go next. Jack, what the fuck are you
So-
thinking? No, wait, Kevin, let me go. What do you think? Are you seriously thinking they're gonna let a couple get to the end? What? What? No, there's no way. I don't see any way Blake or Nick are winning this game. There's just no way. Or maybe one of them goes far. One of them is getting pre-jury, and I think it's gonna be Nick because of their previous relationships. I'm predicting probably late pre-jury because this couple, this is gonna hurt them more than Livingston and Billy, because I could see Billy going like, Livingston's a huge threat. I'm taking him out. Nick and Blake aren't turning on each other. There's no way. I don't see. I mean, I guess there's a way they both can make jury, but there's no way one of them wins, or at least both of them can't make it deep. I just don't see it. They can't be that dumb. So for me, I would say 14th is fair, and then Grace says they're capable of playing a great game. However, them being in the game with Heather will be an issue. However, I see them winning that battle out and being a big threat. They're early jury. So, okay, now Kevin, you can go.
I
So,
actually-
okay.
okay.
So, sorry. So I'm gonna preface this by saying I do agree with Tim, except the way we view Blake and Nick is flipped. I think Blake is the one that goes out in the page. I think Nick is the one that could potentially go far or strictly
Can anyone out actually hear Kevin?
No.
Someone understood. He said him and Nick is the one that's going to go far.
He's gonna link up with Blake. Even they'll have a chance to go farther, but I absolutely do not agree. I don't Nick winning.
Kevin,
Yes.
Number?
what is your placement?
But I think Nick is. I'm not going to go much more into detail about it, but I just see Nick as being about like 6th or 7th. But we'll go with.
Can I go
We'll
now?
go with-
We'll go with
6th.
Am I able to go now? Hello? Okay, so I did have something that I wanted to bounce off Jack, but then I got cut off by a few people, so I hope this comment is still relevant. But take it from me, making it far in a game as a couple is really hard. As someone who used to, back in the day, be in a power couple with Ashley, and we used to play games all the time, it's hard to even make jury with both of you still there. So if they can manage it, they have my respect, because it's hard. Now, looking at Nick individually, I'm not sure how I feel about Nick's prospects, because like everyone else has been saying, I do think people are going to target them. And of the two, Blake is the bigger social threat, because Nick is a very loud person. And especially with this cast, there's probably going to be some confrontation. I don't know whether it's going to be with, like, a Colby or a Heather or someone else. I don't know, but I have a bad feeling that Nick's going to get in some confrontation with people and may end up going home early. I want to be proven wrong because I like Nick and I want to see them succeed, but I don't know if that's going to happen this game, especially with that big pre-existing target painted squarely on their back. So I'm going to have to predict like 15th.
All right, I'll go. On paper, I would agree with everything everyone is saying about the duo, the couple being a big target. However, you have to look at it at a bigger
Huh?
scale than just
They
them.
can't hear me very well, so if I have them like right there.
What do you say? Okay. But I look at things a little bit of on a bigger scale, actually. I don't think when focusing on a power couple, can they make it far, you can just focus on the power couple. You also have to focus on the cast the power couple is with. This is if any kind of cast a power couple can run the table and do well with, would be this cast. Because I don't see a really competent player. I mean, I see some, but do I see them being able to group together? Like, there's so many crazies in this cast. Like, while one person can be smart about it, you're gonna have this other group of people, which I can call out names, but I won't say anything. Brian, who are gonna just completely destroy their opinion, and then it's like one person can be smart, but for every one person in this cast that's smart, there's a dumb person in this cast, and it's like I just see them being able to make it farther than you might typically look at it on paper. As a power couple. Also, I want to look at it as like obviously Blake and Nick are not gonna like vote each other out. I don't see it. However, there's more than two loyalty than just voting someone out. Obviously, I'm not going to say I see them running the table, make no target on their back, and get to the end. I'm not saying that. There's going to be a point in time where one of them is probably going to get sent home. The question I have is, who is going to tank their game to save the other, and who is going to be like, okay, you're going home. I'm sorry, but I have to look out for my own self and not ruin myself in these next couple of weeks by trying to save you. I see Nick being way more able to be like, okay, Blake, I've tried my best. You're going home. You know what? I tried, but at the end of the day, I still got to save my game. Sorry, I'm not going to vote you out, but still, I got to move forward here. I see Blake being way more emotional, being like, I can't let you go. I have to do everything I can. And so on that scale, I do like Nick's chances. I think I'm going to give Nick. I just see him coming in with a lot of different like baggage of people that may not like him. I'm going to give him a solid 9th.
There's Jimmy been?
Jimmy, you're muted.
It seemed like a good idea at the time. So, yeah, so with Nick, I haven't ever played with him. I've only seen him play a couple of times. From my point of view, he seems very capable. Kind of a bit of a challenge beast, but seems to rub people the wrong way at the wrong times. So I don't see him making it to jury, not with Blake in the game with him. I see them actually kind of going out back to back. I have him placed at 11th.
11th is jury, Jimmy.
I thought it was 10.
No, because you need an odd number.
Wait, I'm sorry. I had one question. Are they going to be aware of this first twist? Like, are they going to know that there's the first 5, or do they find out after? Okay.
I'll find out after.
So that will not impact anybody's decision? All right, I still have them at 11th.
Okay.
I'm not going to change that. All
right. Right. Again, I seem to be in complete agreement with one of you. This time it's Julian. There's a couple of people that I view as the people who are likely to go really, really, really quickly. However, I think it's highly unlikely that within the first 3 weeks, someone isn't going to go, you know what, they're actually kind of a big target, and basically just use them to progress themselves 1 week further. And so I'm going to match Julian and say 15th. And that brings us on to Brian. I've added everyone to a house chat, so I'm happy to go first this time. Brian, I think he's one of the harder ones to predict for me, because pretty much anyone who's played with him seems to, at least on the face of it, quite like him as a person, but hate him as a player. So I can't see anybody like trusting him for any great length of time, but equally I can't see him being picked off really early. I'm gonna say that he makes it to jury, but like literally only just. So I'm gonna go with 11th.
I'll take another shot. So the main experience I have with Brian is not a good experience. And it is it's the third season of Discord Whodunit, where he signed up and then basically quit the game. He completely tanked his own game and just wasn't a good player. But I will give him the benefit of the doubt. He is a security guard, so obviously he has to have some sort of physical something, probably.
It's called size.
Strength, endurance, I don't know. But I also see him as really, 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 really cocky. And I'm not sure how well that personality is going to clash with this house. Because if he makes himself too well known, he's fucked. Simply put, he is fucked. You need to stay silent early in this game because big target after big target after big target after big target will be taken out first. So honestly, I see him pre-jury 13th. Maybe, just maybe, he wins the buyback and gets a little bit farther, but I do not see him winning this game at all.
Sorry, was that 15th or 13th?
13.
I think he gets past the first few, and then he targets all his allies because he thinks he's gonna get all his allies voting the jury. No, yeah, Brian's not winning.
Tim, wrong game.
I know. Well, he might copy the same strategy. I don't know, since it worked out really well for him last time. So yeah, Brian's not winning. He's gonna make it, I would say, semi decent, and then he's gonna self implode. I'll give him 11th. Oh wait, Grace. Grace says, from what I've come to an understanding too, Brian is crazy AF in these games with his strategy. Like, he rubs so many people the wrong way. He's either gonna make it really far and get like second or get pre-jury. And I kind of agree with that. Second or pre-jury. I mean, you know what? I'm gonna change it. I'll make it 14th. I think he self-implodes earlier. Okay, now
Right, so are we talking about Brian? Okay. So Brian, I'm not sure how I feel about Brian's prospects in this game. He's kind of messy in terms of his strategy, because as Tim already referenced, I think back to his ill-perceived or ill-conceived strategy in Trinity New Beginnings, which he chose to actively target all of his allies for early jury, thinking, hey, if all of my allies are on the jury, they'll be able to sway the later boots into voting for me, which did not work well at all, and actually got him voted out unanimously once all of his allies were gone. Brian can be a competent player at times. Like, I've seen him go far. I've seen him do well. But recently, he's been more miss than hit. So I don't even know if I can call him a hit or miss at this point. I don't remember who said it. I think it was Tim. But I can see him going really early, winning a buyback, and then going out like right away again. Z, what placement is the buyback? going to be 4? Like, how many people are going to be left at that point?
12. However, they will have a week's in. No, they'll become number 13 again. They'll have a week's immunity. So I guess number 12 would be when you could go.
Okay, so I'm going to say like 11 because he's not going to go right away, but he's going to go like the week after.
As someone who was on that season where Brian booted me because he wanted my jury vote, can I just say, why is he here? Like, don't get me wrong, I love the dude, don't get me wrong, but like, Brian, I love you, but can I also say, someone mentioned that he has to have good physical skills because he's a security guard. As someone who's been on call with him when he's being a security guard, you don't gotta have good physical skills. You just gotta be a good tattletale. Hey, there's someone over there. That's all he does. Sit on his ass all day. Hey guys, over there. He doesn't even pay attention to his job. What is he doing? I don't understand what he is guarding. Like, he's really just probably guarding a tree at this point. Hey, don't steal my tree. He might be a homeless man. Don't steal my tree, y'all. That's my tree. It's like, what? And I'm not hating on him because I love Brian to death. Don't get me wrong. I love Brian to death. I love you, Brian. But, Brian, you don't have it. I want you to do well, Brian. But, like, and for the record, he got second place once. Second place once and pre-jury 20 times does not make you a hit or miss. Okay? That's not how that works. I love you, Brian. I feel like you have it in you. You have it in you to do well. But what happens is you look at Brian, you don't see him as the crazy one. So because of that, he gets by a couple weeks. There's so many people in this cast, you look at them, oh, they're the crazy one. With Brian, you're going to say, oh, he's not the crazy one. Then a few weeks in, he's going to be like, I'm the crazy one. And everyone's like, Brian, why are you doing this? Because I'm the crazy one. And it's like, why are you doing this? And I've seen them on call.
Can y'all...
I forgot about Kevin.
When he enters games with friends that he's played with before, he says the same exact thing. Are you ready for this? Hey, Connor, I know I was like that game, but I'm changed. I'm a new Brian. I'm going to do this to you again. Connor, I'm entering this game. The old Brian is gone. I'm Pennington now, which is actually a name he called himself. He called himself Pennington. Pennington. Who names themselves Pennington? I love the dude. But like, come on. Like, I see honestly, like, he's going to get a couple rounds and people are going to realize he's crazy. Not crazy in like a social sense. Like, he can kind of get by and like not be viewed as crazy. But game wise, he always wants to do the craziest things. Brian, you're one of my best friends, but I'm a realist. You're probably getting 13th.
Just so everyone knows, he apparently guards horses.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm just as confused as you.
Are they the Budweiser Clydesdales? Okay. All right, so y'all are blowing my mind. I have only ever played with Ryan once. We were in an alliance together, and we were in an alliance that happened to go down in flames. But I didn't see negativity in him. I mean, I felt like I was being kind of shined. I don't know how to say it. Like, he was just being kind of nice to me when he might not have been if we hadn't been going down in flames together. So based on the fact that while we were all going down in flames, he was able to outlast everybody else in the alliance and then still make it a few pegs. I have a much better opinion of him than any of y'all were showing. I have him on my list here. I have him as third. I don't think they'll let him get to the end, but I think he can make it all the way to the far end. Based on the one game that I've had with that guy.
Was there a number in that? Sorry.
3.
3.
Is that
Okay.
it for Brian?
No, Kevin needs to try and say something.
Kevin, string some words together.
Kevin's gone.
He's not here. Cool.
Oh, okay, fine. Oh, yeah, he's just messaged me saying this isn't working, but he's going to send me all his placements. Fair enough. In which case, we move on to Gwen.
Ooh, can I start Gwen?
Sure.
So, Gwen The biggest thing I'll give her is she is insanely committed, which is weird and very paradoxical because she's in like 20 games at a time, but she commits so much to all of them, which, from someone who has a hard time committing to one game at a time, committing to 20 at a time is really impressive. And she does well in like pretty much every game she applies for. She's a very polarizing person, though, on the other hand. I personally like her. I know quite a few people who like her, but there's also a lot of people who hate her, who want her far, far away from them. Like, not in this game, but Tawny, for example, and I know there's a few people in this cast who bitched about her being in this game already. People are not fans of Gwen, so she needs to work on like improving her image a little bit because she can come off as a bit much, let's just say. So if she can get on people's good sides, she'll go far. If she starts pissing people off like she has in the past, or if she starts saying somewhat insensitive things to some of the cast, she's going to go early. I'm going to say a nice middle of the road placement, like 8th.
All right, I'll go. On a personal level, I like Gwen. I think she's good fun. However, I think with like people who she's already played with, she may be in for a few problems. I do think that she probably makes jury. I'm gonna go 9th.
I'll just go real quick. I know nothing of Gwen. I just had to give her a number, so I put down for 15.
I will take the next shot. I have played with Gwen twice now. They were both at the same time, but one of the times I never even got to see her. She was both in The Experiment, season 3 Shogun, and Trinity Deception Island. In Deception Island, she was incredibly social and she made me feel very, very safe. And honestly, if it wasn't for somebody on this call's mistake or whatever that happened, I don't care at this point. Fuck him. She probably wouldn't have cut me. However, in
Wait, what did I do? I wasn't even on track with him.
You told them to vote the wrong way.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then they
Actually,
stopped
you
trusting me.
can point at Z. He told me to lie, so you can look at Z. I will pan that camera to Z.
But either way, in Shogun, she got screwed because of a swap. So she went out pretty hard, which means she can't exactly flip the cards in a worst case scenario. However, she did play in Big Brother Monopoly, and from what I heard, she utilized the twist really well and got decently far. And as such, I think as long as she doesn't fuck off, like piss off the wrong people, I think she's going to do really, really well here, especially because she's not such a loud personality in a cast of loudmouths. So I honestly think he is going to get 6th. Also, Kevin, not sure if you're alive, dead, but he said Brian had a big personality, which in this cast gets him into trouble, so 15th. And he is also putting Gwen at 9th, saying Gwen is a good social player, and if she can get behind Big Meat Shield, she will succeed, but I fear that with the people that watched and played Trinity, she could find herself in trouble. I see her at 9th, but she could easily go far.
Sorry, just double checking, Jack. I think I heard too many numbers. You said 6th for Gwen, right?
Yes, I said 6.
Fine. Tim.
I'll do Grace's first. Grace says Gwen is definitely a loyal one. She had my back in the experiment until they got her out. I think that she can be too trusting toward the wrong people, but I think if she plays it smart, she can do well. I think she gets mid-jury. For me, I don't know what's Gwen's problem. Like, I don't know what she's doing wrong. I don't know. I feel like she has some good allies. She probably will work with the Nick group, and she could also work with the Livingston group. I didn't notice any. So I think she could play both sides if she plays it right. I think she could probably make it really far. I would maybe even say top 4 if she doesn't mess up. I don't know who dislikes her in this cast. I don't know any, unless there's like these mystical, mysterious relationships I don't know about. I'll go 4th. I feel like she's not the best at competition, so she's gonna lose the key competitions when it matters most. So I'm gonna go 4.
Connor.
So I just know of her. I've never really met her, but I think I know of her enough to give a fairly good assessment here. I'm gonna agree with what a number that someone else said. I see her social game being her greatest strength, and I see her just getting along with everyone as long as she doesn't have any like personal like baggage coming in with someone that we don't know about. I see her social game taking her as far as a social game can. And then I see like when it's time, I see people just be like, okay, we'll just get rid of Gwen here. So I'm gonna give her a solid 6th as well.
Okay. So we move on at this point, and we're on to Billy.
Did you give a CAS assessment, Z? I can't remember.
I did. I gave her 9th.
So Billy, right?
Yeah.
So funny thing, as this call was going on and as the house chat opened, I just want to talk about this because I feel like it encompasses a lot of what we just been talking about. There is a new alliance called LBNB, which has the 2 pairs we've been talking about this entire time, being Nick and Blake being dating, and Livingston and Billy being co-hosts. And Billy said I was going to make this as well. So Billy, I think he is incredibly smart. He can be he is kind of disliked though, and I think that could be a major issue, but he is very smart. He's beaten me in a mental comp before being a death match in a Genius game. But honestly, I'm not sure how he'll do seeing he's a Survivor host and not a Big Brother host. And also the fact that, he has admitted on cam that he's done really, really poorly in Big Brother games and he wants to write it. But why has that happened? And I honestly can't answer that. Uh, I think he could stay silent enough to barely make jury. So I am going to give Billy 11th.
I'll go just because I'm trying to mix up where I am in the order. So to me, as much as those 4 will come together, and I believe actually probably try and work with each other for a while, I just don't see that they're going to go too many weeks without facing issue. I think that Nick and Blake will probably be the priority of the 2 pairs for people to take out, but I think that Billy and Livingston will be not long afterwards. I think I'm purely on the basis that they've made this chat. I kind of feel like Billy might not try and cut Livingston for a while, and of the 2 out of Billy and Livingston, I see Billy being the one to go first, so I am giving him 13th.
All right, so I've played with Billy twice in Big Brother games, and both times he's been very loyal to the people he's with. I wouldn't say he's like deathly loyal like Livingston. Like he will cut you if he thinks either A, he's not going to beat you, or B, that he thinks you're going to cut him. Um, he's more social. I don't know him in orgs. I don't think he's played in any orgs. So there's always that, group game orgs.
He
Maybe
was
I don't.
third boot in Trinity.
Well, I meant Big Brother orgs.
Okay.
But also, yeah, Trinity he sucked. Which you don't. I feel like Billy is good in Big Brother, so it might be like a Kevin thing. I don't know. It doesn't matter, but he might just be better at Big Brother. So I'm gonna give him. I think he does the best out of those four. I think he might be the Livingston in this game, where people view him as social, but they think he sucks, but he's actually social. I'm gonna say he's third. I'm gonna go a little high on him. I'm gonna go third. Yeah, I think of all those four, he's gonna weave his way around. I feel like, or I could just be way off, which is also possible. Oh wait, Grace. Wait, Grace. Grace says, I think that with this cast, Billy's gonna do well. I just feel like people would take his allies out over him here. I think he gets majority. There you go.
Julian?
I kind of stand by my earlier assessment of Billy / Livingston, whereas, like, Livingston needs to drop Billy, or he's going to go early, but I don't know if he will. Billy is actually not a bad player. Like, he gets a lot of heat for understandable reasons, but he's not that bad. Billy can do well. I think Billy could go far in this game. I don't know. Like, one of Billy and Livingston is going to shank each other, and the other's going to go deep. Now, apparently, from what I've heard, Billy usually goes farther, so I'm going to give Billy, like, fourth.
Connor?
So I'm one of the few people who here that can say I really don't know Billy, like really at all. I can only really go by what I know of him. What I know of him is that he reminds me in looks like El Hooper, and I'm not a huge fan of El Hooper. If I'm just being completely honest.
He is not. He is not El Hooper. He is not.
If it looks like El Hooper, it probably is El Hooper.
No, it's not. He's not even close to an El Hooper.
I'm just saying. I played with El Hooper before, and I'm not a huge fan of El Hooper.
Okay, yeah, but El Hooper is loyal to a fault. Billy will, and he will cut you.
Will? If that's the case, oh God help Billy.
Yeah, Billy will cut you, and El Hooper won't.
El Hooper once, and let me tell you, when I say the word oblivious,
no, Billy can read a room. He's not.
I don't know that.
You're going to say Billy can read and write?
No, read a room. Wow. Wow.
Because El Hooper,
wow.
I'm surprised he can complete a sentence because he was so oblivious.
All right, Connor has no opinion.
I do have an opinion, but I can't get my opinion.
It's a wrong opinion. It's a wrong. You don't know him. You don't know him.
You hairy bastard. Let me talk. So
Julian has to leave in 45 minutes, so let's go quicker.
I'm going to strictly give my opinion just based on what I think. I'm going to say 15th.
Jimmy?
All right. I've never played with him. I've seen him play a couple of times in the Viewers Lounge, and he's just kind of middle of the road player for me. I've never seen him do anything outside. I have him placed at 8th place, so my rankings.
Fair enough. So that's everyone on Billy. Billy seems to be particularly polarizing. And at this point, we come to Colby. And seeing as Julian was the one who cast him.
Ooh, okay.
Colby. Before we end with Billy, we haven't read Kevin's because...
that's true. I put his number on my spreadsheet because I read it.
So... Kevin says Billy is going to struggle with a Livingston connection, but based on the info that the alliance is forming, Billy might go far. But if the house picks up on the fact that Airbnb exists, then expect them to turn on them very, very quickly. And out of Billy and Livingston, I think Billy gets cut first. I agree with Jack that Billy gets 11th.
Okay, cool. And now Julian can talk about Colby.
All right. So let's talk about Colby. Z basically gave me full permission on whether we're casting Colby or not, and I said, yo, this man's gonna be in this cast. Because this cast was already cracked enough as it is, so we're like, why not just complete the cycle and make it even worse and add Colby? So, Colby is a troll. He's been fucking around in his production chat saying all this controversial stuff, which I'm not entirely comfortable repeating here. But, yeah, so Colby's gonna piss people off. And he's going to do it very quickly. He's been making comments in his production chat about how he wants to play with HLC, and I think in Colby speak that means he's going to fuck with her. And I actually have said this several times in the production chat, but I do think Colby's going to be first boot because he's going to say something insensitive and he's going to piss the wrong people off and he's going to go home first. But I'm going to enjoy every second of this man being in this game because, God, he's a treat to watch. Like, I want him to go far, but I just don't think he's going to.
See, I have an entirely different opinion to Julian, which is that I'm far less confident in the fact that we've done the right thing casting a confirmed lunatic. But I actually think that of all the crackheads in this, he seems to be coming out of the blocks actively trying to be as publicly charming as possible. And I think that if he gets past the first couple of weeks, he might actually just try and carry on along these lines, where basically we end up with confessionals that are utter bile and probably we would struggle to post anywhere without inciting some sort of crime. However, I have this weird feeling that between the strategic brain in him that does exist and the fact that I think he's trying to go on a charm offensive, I'm gonna say he's the crackhead that's going deep. I'm not sure whether I want to be proven right or wrong, to be honest. But I've already ranked all the cast, and I'm gonna say that he's, whilst we all stare on in horror, he somehow creeps to 6th. Connor?
I will say he got one thing right when he named his username on 10Gauge. I will say, like, the one thing his personality and pugs have in common is that they're ugly as shit. I'm just... Listen, I played with him a long time ago, and let me tell you, like, okay, he wasn't, like, mean to me, but the things I heard him saying, I was like, dude, why you have to be from the South, man? You're giving me all sorts of bad rep here. I mean, I do see him doing well. I don't see him being first due. I mean, it might be well for, like, the freaking controversy you're gonna get, but, you know, I don't see him being first boot. And, you know, I think I'm gonna give him 12. I don't know. I'm running out of early numbers, so I'm just gonna give him 12.
All right, Jack.
Hey, sorry about that. Had to go get a charger. But what can you say about Colby that hasn't already been said? He is a complete mess. Although I did find his intro video my favorite because, oh my god, the meth joke is... Come on, that's so good. But I honestly don't think he's gonna survive at all. unless he somehow uses the twists or someone else just like majorly screws up in the first week and then the week after that and the week after that, I see him going basically the first time he's open to. So I am going to place him as dead last just because even though I want him to stay far just so we can have that enjoyability factor, I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's going to go out really, really fast. And
All right.
Kevin,
Sorry.
Colby is by far my favorite intro video. I really want to see him get far and win. But I think he will be a bright flame that burns out far too quickly, and he will go out very, very fast. I don't think first, because I have someone in mind for that already. I'm going to say 16th, but it's the assessment that I hope I'm wrong with the most.
Fair enough. Thank you, Jack, who is now Kevin's spokesperson. Let's go to Jimmy.
Okay, Colby has jumped all over my rankings. I just do not have a good bead on where he will land. My impression of him comes from very early on in my gaming career. He was doing very well during that time, dominating several games with very solid alliances that he was very, very tight with. But I feel like he's cashed in those alliances in the time since then, and he doesn't really have that same wealth that he can work with. He's bounced all around. I have him at 16th now because I kind of don't like him. I kind of am afraid of him, and I want him out.
Okay, and then that leaves us with Tim.
Yeah, Colby. Man, yeah, me and him, I think my first group game was his first group game. We go far back. I can't even, like, he's won 2 or 3 games, but like, I don't know where he's been for the last year or so. Apparently trolling. So the problem with Colby is, I feel like it's a little bit with Keaton, where you have this crackhead troll side and this logical great player. It's like which side will win out, and unfortunately, it depends. I want him to do well, so I'm gonna do the same thing as Keaton. I think he floats by a few weeks, and then he spazzes out. It just literally it just depends on when he self implodes. Like, it could be the first week, it could be final 6. Who knows? I'm gonna go with 9th because why not? He could literally be from second to last. I don't see him winning, but he could be anything. Grace says, honestly, Colby is gonna be the me of last time. He's gonna go inact and not come back on. I think he's one of the first few buttes. I don't know about that, but he could be the first few buttes.
Well, let's go in reverse order from the last time for this one. So, Tim, keep going. Now it's Cameron.
As much as I hate to say it, I think Cameron could be the first boot of 2 consecutive orcs. That's gonna be my pick. I'm gonna pick him last. I don't really like his gameplay. I don't really know what he really does socially for me. I played a game with him and he got far because he was on a winning tribe and then whatever, but let's see what Grace says. Grace says Cameron is definitely someone else in this cast who can rub people the wrong way, and it always gets him bad, and especially with us having Deception Eye on people in here, he's not going far. I think he's getting prejudged. So there you go.
Okay, Jimmy.
All right, that all adds up to me. I played I feel like several games with Cameron and have never once met Cameron. I have never had a conversation with Cameron. I don't think he puts any effort into the games that I happen to be in with him. And I think that he seems to skate by on that for a little while, and then he's just extra, and they just cut him because he's somebody easy to cut. I think for that reason, I gave him 13.
Okay. Jack.
I am going to try and buy as much time for Kevin as I can because he still needs to post.
I can
Cameron.
skip to Connor if you want.
I'll just talk and hopefully he'll get it in by that point. Otherwise, we'll just go at the end with him. Cameron. I've known Cameron for the longest time because before I even did orged, like when I still had my original Jackson Walsh account, I played Ultimate Stars with him. And he still managed to rub me the wrong fucking way. It's really, really impressive. I do not see him doing well at all. However, with the amount of big personalities in this cast, I still think he gets pre-jury. However, I think he's going to survive for at least a little bit longer. Probably somewhere around 13th. Or, no, I've already said 13th, haven't I? Damn it. I'm going to say 12th, just because I feel like there's way bigger targets and way more people who could blow up, where he's just going to be a vote where it's like, we just don't want to deal with him anymore. Just vote him out this week. Who cares? He's going to be someone you can nominate infinitely and just not feel bad about it. He doesn't have a social game. He doesn't have a strategic game. He doesn't have a physical game. What he has is drag, and there's already a better drag queen on the cast, and their name is Nick. So, yeah, I'm saying 12th.
Kevin's posted.
Kevin. So I forgot Cameron was on this cast. I wish I did. I am changing Colby to 15th and putting Cameron at 17th. Socially inept in Trinity and the easiest person to cut. Based on their confessionals in Trinity, they have no good reads on people in orgs. I would be shocked if they make jury.
Fair enough. Connor?
So I've also never really spoken to Cameron. I mean, obviously there's something like everyone hates about Cameron. I obviously don't really know what it is. Maybe I'm missing something. But I have to look at like what I've seen, and what I've seen recently is Cameron getting sent home first, unanimously, I think, or almost unanimously. So considering that this cast consists of some people from that game, I don't see them doing him. I don't know. Well, I'm gonna say I want to get to know Cameron too. He seems nice to me. I'm gonna say I'll say second boot. I'll say 16th.
Julian.
All right. Almost unanimous looks at Jack. So,
You're welcome.
So this is gonna be the hot take of the day, I guess. I really like Cameron. Like, I get that other people don't, but I actually personally do. I want him to do well because I've seen him do well in the past. He can do well in a game if he like really commits to it and stuff. But lately he just seems to be off his game. So maybe this will be the one that puts him back on the road to success, or maybe he'll crash and burn like he's been doing lately. I don't know. He's another question mark for me, and I'm going to put him at another middling placement, although on the lower end, like maybe 11th.
Okay, so I kind of agree with the general assessment of him, and though I should say, like, I've spoken to him a bit since Trinity, and whilst I found him really annoying in Trinity, one-on-one, I actually find him reasonably charming. He interviewed well. I think, though, that whilst the cast are looking for easy early votes, he will just sit there, though. I do think there's one person likely to go quicker, so I'm going for him as the second boot, and I'm putting him 16th. That puts us on to what will probably be the quickest conversation, given that I don't actually know that anyone's really spoken to him, and that's Pete. So I'm gonna go with the non-production people first. So let's go Connor, please.
I don't know Pete, and I feel like no one knows Pete, and I think normally that's a disadvantage with this cast. Not being known is probably a good thing. I see him making like I mean I can't imagine like I feel like just because you don't know him, it's probably he has to at least make a couple rounds just because of that. Because there's so many people that are just so known in such negative ways, and I don't see them all bending together. Let's go to the world of the one person we don't know. They're not gonna do that with this cast. There's so many people that are just not likable. I feel like to a lot of different kinds of people. I don't know what he can produce gameplay wise, and that's why I think it's a big question mark for everyone. Strictly looking at my placements, I have to figure something out that I haven't already said, and I'm gonna say I'm gonna give him 8 because I think he can maybe do something. He has a position where he can pull something out and do something, and I'm curious to see what that something is. So I'll put him 8.
Tim.
Yeah, I'm just gonna read Grace's. Oh, well, Grace's is not that okay. I don't know who the fuck this kid is, but I hope he slays. That's it. So Grace was literally no hope. All right. So I'm just gonna put him, by the way, now that I've realized someone else on this cast, I may have to change my Keaton 16th, but that's such a mean placement. I'm just going to keep him there. For Pete, though, I'll just put him 9th, just to put him in the middle. He could be a flop. He could be great. He could be a Dan. He could be a Kevin. Who knows? I don't know.
Okay. So Kevin would be the other one. Has he posted yet, Jack? Well, read him and then do yours.
So Kevin is starting off with, Pete sounds like a competent person with a good name. I'm going to say 7th. Anyone that is unknown but likable in this cast can succeed. I see him flying under the radar and going a little deep into the jury. He seems to be promising of the unknowns. So I am in general agreement with Kevin. I think he's a little bit lower. Not being known in this cast is really, really good because people then are going to talk to you, especially when they feel like they don't have anyone else in this cast. People like Heather, Colby, Cameron, people like them are going to talk to him. Whether that's a good thing or not, I'm not entirely sure. But if Pete can get himself in a good position, I see him making it at least a jury and going out because he doesn't have a lot of support that a lot of people have. Also, he seems to be kind of occultish, and I really, really like that. I am going to say he is going to get 9th, dead center, just because I really don't know.
Okay, Jimmy.
It's disgusting. I agree with every single person, everything that every single person has said in front of me. I also have him at 9th for all the reasons that were just stated. He's got a lot going for him by being an unknown, but can that get him all the way? It depends on his personality. It's up to him at that point.
Fair enough. Julian?
So the one thing that everyone seems to have overlooked is that Tumblr very consistently does well in Tangage-based orgs. Because all the Tangagers target each other relentlessly, while Tumblr fuels the fire and slips through the cracks. Like, we've seen it before in New Beginnings with the Tumblr foursome basically dominating the entire game. We saw it with Ned basically winning the season. Last season, not really as much because a certain somebody decided to make them public enemies on day 1. But, they tried. And we've got quite a few of them in this cast, too. You got Keaton, you got Michael, you got Pete. And I do think that this could be business as usual for the Tumblers, because they do love to stick together. And they're all very social players. Now, I think Pete's only done one org before, which was Tumblr Survivor 2020, in which he got 14th. He didn't do that well his first time, although...
14th out of 25, for the record.
14th out of 25, yes.
Oh.
But I do think that, for all the reasons I've listed, this could be a good cast for him to make a serious run in. I don't think he's going to win, because there's a lot bigger personalities in the cast, and there's a lot bigger people that are going to stand out in front of him if he makes it to the end. But I can see Pete maybe 5th or 6th. I'm going to go with, like, 6th.
So I basically very much agree with Julian. I did Pete's interview. Pete is very charming in an awkward way, and I don't mean that kind of awkwardness. Like, he is actually charming. There's just a degree of self-deprecation to it. He definitely has a strategic brain. He said that part of the reason he ended up going out of this Tumblr game was partially he was managed to be both considered the easy boot as the newbie, but also he was sort of trying to make people do things, and they weren't listening to him as the newbie. It was he said he was getting incredibly frustrated. I think, for the reasons Julian says, he could go far in this game. His strategy, from what he said, basically sounds like he's going to try and be as charming as possible, but will not be afraid to cut a bitch. And in a season full of absolute crackheads, I think he could be the non-crackhead to really go far. I've got him coming 3rd. So that brings us on to someone who I have a feeling may be quite polarizing, and that's Annette. I'm happy to go first off this one. So I think I have a different impression of Annette to most people, because I, like, back when I was still playing Frookies and things like that, Annette was one of the first people I really got talking to on the site. She has an incredibly strategic brain. She can be very good socially. She just has a bit of a short temper, but she seems to be learning from that. And, like, so Orbis was my first group game I hosted, and not org, and she won it. And she won it through Jack fucking up and then good social play. So I think she is learning. She's already sending me messages discussing the fact that she views the number of crackheads and people she doesn't particularly like in this game as a good thing, because she's planning on using them as meat shields. I think that strategy could actually work, because it will differentiate you from everybody else. I don't think she's going to win, because she won't be able to hold her tongue long enough to not piss off some people. But I've got her coming 7th. Let's go Tim.
All right. I'm gonna go to Grace. Yas missed first org, but with the people in this cast here, I can see her doing decently well. However, as long as all the women have this issue, I can see her being a social threat. I think she gets mid to late jury. I couldn't agree with that. I think she can lay low and then make the social bonds. I can tell you one thing. Probably one of the 3 people I really don't want to win, because then she's a 2-time winner, and then what does that make me? Just nothing. And I don't know if I could just live with myself. Then I have to come back for All Stars and just win. And it's just, I don't know. I'm gonna say 5th.
I have probably the least to say about her.
Go ahead then.
So I don't really know her all that well. I hosted her once in my group game series, and she got pre-merged. I know she has done a lot better than that. I personally haven't seen it, but I don't know how she plays all that well. So in my head, she's a big question mark. I'm gonna give her like 13th.
Jack, and by proxy, Kevin.
I'm going to start with Kevin because I don't know where Kevin is at. Kevin said, I'm going to say second, which is a wrong opinion, but okay. I don't really know Annette very well, but she seems likable and strategic. She's one of those two things. One. So let me talk about Orbis because can we use this as a announcement, kind of, sort of?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I am hosting the second season of Orbis along with Z, because I basically was the secondary host anyway, as I was explaining half the challenges. But from Orbis is basically the only experience I have with her. And as much as I love her, she did nothing. She did not deserve it. The only reason she won is because nobody wanted to vote Gabe. And I got fucked over at the very end.
No, you fucked yourself over.
I did. But I'm going to blame other people because that makes it hurt a lot less.
Number?
Anyway, she floated. The only thing I've seen from her is she has some strong gameplay. During one challenge, she was really, really smart and managed to solve both a logic puzzle and a word puzzle in the same time as me, and I got really, really lucky with my logic puzzle. So I'm just as impressed as her in that regard, but other than that, I don't see her doing well. I do see her as a jury member though, because she's just going to float. So I am going to give Annette 8th, but very much that can change along with Pete because she could very much be towards the end of the game, but I don't think she is going to get anything less than jury.
Okay. Jimmy.
I think the transition from a group game like Orbis to an org game is drastic, and strategy won't get you as far as a social game will. You have to have something to back it up with. 14th.
Okay. Connor?
There was a girl I went to high school with named Annette, and she was one of my crushes.
Oh.
She was really cool. She was really, really smart. She was gonna play, and she played Jasmine in Aladdin. I miss her. I don't know where she went. I'm just gonna go off. I'm gonna go off of that, and because I like the Annette I know, I'm gonna say this, and that is just as good. I'm gonna give her 4th.
Dude, she's like 40.
50.
Listen, okay.
Oh, God.
This site loves 40-year-old women, okay?
She's as old as my mother. Calm down.
I never said I wanted to do anything with Annette. That Annette, I meant the other Annette, the one I went to high school with. You need to pay attention, Jack. Pay attention. I wasn't talking about her. She got kids, my
Christ. We move on to Caleb. Jack, you can go first this time.
Kevin, you better type fast. I just want to make sure we are doing
Caleb Trim. Caleb DeBoss.
Okay, that's what I thought. First off, if he moans again, I will have him expelled from the game because that was extremely uncomfortable. But I do see him doing decently well. He isn't as much of a loudmouth as other people. He's very, very chill. However, I cannot see him winning this game. I'm not expecting much, but I'm not expecting an early boot.
You're running out of numbers, Jack.
I know. I'm putting Pete in 7th because of what everyone said, and I'm going to put Caleb in 9th. Just
Okay.
because I have no metric on him other than he'll do all right.
Okay.
Now, let's see. Kevin did not post yet, so we'll see what happens with that once he gets back on call or doesn't do that. Who knows?
Yeah.
Can I go next? I'm going to try to sum my thoughts up in one sentence.
I was literally going to go, let's go from someone who thinks he's pretty chill to Julian.
My mama told me if you don't have anything nice to say about someone, don't say anything at all.
Number?
16th. Do y'all want my actual thoughts?
I mean, I think you've summed it up. If you particularly want to ignore your mother's advice, then you can.
Okay, first of all, my mom never actually said that. She's as much of a catty bitch as I am. She's worse than I am. I'm not a fan of Caleb. Like, we've kind of sort of made up, gotten along within this last year, but, like, objectively, in terms of games, he's a terrible game player. Like, take how you guys felt about Cameron in New Beginnings. I mean, not New Beginnings, Deception Island. Take how you guys felt about Cameron and his heavy breathing on that one call, and multiply that by, like, 20. That's Caleb.
Okay.
Caleb is very good at making people uncomfortable. He will flirt with people 3 times his age. He will, like, talk about very inappropriate subjects with 0 warning or 0 prompting. He will make everyone want to evict him just so they don't have to talk to him anymore. I would give him 17th if not for the fact that Colby's here, and I do see Colby blowing himself up faster than Caleb. But it's going to be a race to the bottom between those two.
Okay, so we seem to be varying between people who have differing opinions. Jimmy seemed pained throughout that, so I'm going to go.
Man, all of these
Obviously, didn't know Caleb.
All of those things are true, and also Caleb can go on really good winning streaks. I have seen him take advantage of being that position that is hated. He can be the unlike goat that gets to the end. He is a person that can be, I don't know how to put it, used by somebody who has that kind of a gameplay. And I see a few people on that cast who will take somebody under their wing and use them as the goat to take to the end. I see him going all the way to the end and then not winning. I see him number 2.
Wow. Okay.
I have a high opinion of him. Any day now, he's going to live up to it.
Fair enough. Let's go to Connor.
Y'all really casted Caleb I Like Men to boss, didn't y'all? Y'all really just had to do that. Man. You should see. All he does is talk about men, how hairy they are, and how he wants to, like, lick his lips on a man or something. He's just a weird one. And he's underage, man. Like, he's just, it makes me uncomfortable. Like, he's like salivating at the thought of a man. And it's just like, dude, go outside and do that. We're not here for that crap. He makes me really uncomfortable. I have to give a number. I'm gonna say 18. Don't correct me.
Surprise, Connor's replacing him.
No, he's not even making it in the house. Okay, he's gonna get stopped by the cops for predatory another man, and then he's not gonna make it in the house. Okay, 18.
Tim.
I mean, I don't even know. Like, I would also give him 18th if I could, you know. Like, of one person that, you know, deserves 18. Like, this cast, it's so strange. Like, I look at him, and I'm like, there's no way Cameron doesn't get first boot. And then I look at Caleb, I'm like, there's no way Caleb doesn't get first boot. And then I look at Colby's like, there's no way Colby gets first. Like, there's so many people that should get first boot, but there's only one first boot. I can't give 5 people 18th, even though they all should get whatever 17. I don't even though they all should get 17. So it's like it's hard to know which one will fuck their game up more. It's like, will Cameron fuck up? Will Colby fuck up? Will Caleb fuck? It's like, who will fuck up the most? And then we're gonna get like a 1984 thing, and then Keaton's the first boot, or someone like random like Pete's the first boot. Like what? So okay, I'm gonna go to Grace. This guy is also messy too and rubs people the wrong way. LMAO. But I can see him doing okay for a little bit. I think he gets like late pre-jury. I think that's fair. I don't know what number I have left, so I'm just gonna go 13th. I'm just gonna assume people put up with him, and then get rid of him the first moment they realize he's not good at this game.
Fair enough. You've already
tell
been
you-
repeating numbers, Tim, so I wouldn't worry too much.
Oh, I know.
I'll tell you what, Tim. He wants to rub something the wrong way.
Okay.
And I guess I'll finish off with Kevin. First off, just on my own terms, obviously I forgot about Caleb because now I remember. And I'm pretty
Oh.
maybe it should be called PTSTD, but I'm not sure. Anyway, Kevin
Wait,
said, "I'm gonna
Z,
go."
did you just lose your recording?
No, it's still going.
Oh,
It says it's still
oh,
recording.
it's okay.
That's about something different. Congrats, X. You've confused all of us. Kevin said, I'm going to go with 13th. I don't know Caleb, but people who make inappropriate comments always go out first or in danger. So, probably 13th from him.
Okay. That completes Caleb. We are on to Darcy. Let's go to Julian.
Ooh, okay. I get to talk about Darcy. So, I've been really close friends with Darcy for maybe 8 years now. I've known Darcy longer than pretty much anyone on this site. Like, y'all know I've been here for about 10 years now, and I've been really close friends with Darcy for maybe 8 or 9 of those 10. So, I've played a handful of games with Darcy too, so I know how he plays. He likes to be under the radar. He likes to try to be more of a low-key social player, but Darcy is an undercover crackhead as well. You wouldn't Here we go, boys. Here we go. Buckle up. You wouldn't expect it from Darcy because you get him on call and he's a bit dry. I've heard many people call him out before for being kind of boring, kind of dry, but he is a crackhead in games. He will melt down at the smallest thing. He will flip on you if he's just in the mood that day. You're not in his DMs at all times, like making sure he's feeling good about you, making sure he's with you, making sure that everything's going all right. He might just get up in his head and be like, hey, I can't trust these people. I gotta flip. I gotta make the move. So Darcy will make a move on you just if he's in the mood that day. He will tank his own game if he feels like it that day. I've seen him do it so many times by now. I've even seen him quit games just because he was in the mood that day. So, like, I love Darcy as a person, but as a game player, he is not a reliable ally. He is a crackhead. He is very messy. And I don't know where to put him because he's a competent game player as long as he can keep his own head. I want to see him do well. I want to, like, he's making at least jury, for sure. I don't see him tanking his own game before jury. I'm going to give him, like, 11th or 10th. Like, first or second juror.
Pick one.
10th.
Good, because you've already given 2 people 11th. Let's go, Tim.
Don't call me out on my math.
I'm gonna go Grace first. Honestly, Darcy's doing well in this game. He can socially and strategically put himself in a great spot with anyone in the cast because he's so likable. He is my winner prediction. There you go. Got Grace's winner prediction there. Okay, for me, I want Darcy to go far. And do I think he's gonna go far? No. But I want him to go far. Question is, I don't. I see him getting jury. Unless he screws up horribly. Why would anyone take out Darcy in this cast? Like, really? You're gonna take out? Yeah. I don't see Darcy. I'm like rethinking all my placements now, just because I didn't realize how bad this cast is. But I'll put Darcy as. Let's see. Z, what placement do I have from 5th to like 7th?
You haven't said 6th or 7th for anyone.
I'll do 6th.
Okay. I will go. So Darcy's interview greatly amused me because I asked him whether he viewed himself as a hero or a villain, and I can't exactly remember his answer word for word, but the rough gist of it was, I try to be a hero, but I quite like lying. I kind of feel that means that he won't win. However, he has just, like, his last org was a Tumblr Survivor 1, and he got Player of the Season. And I feel like maybe he feels like he's on a bit of a running of good form, and that might help him in this one. Also, he seemed to get on quite well with Pete when they played that game together. So I'm seeing maybe an unlikely alliance between them two. And if I think Pete's going deep, then I think I have to say Darcy's going pretty deep. But I think Darcy's lies will catch up with him sooner. I am going to give Darcy 5th. Connor.
Can I just say, everyone here calling Darcy dry and boring. Did y'all see the winner of season 1? He was the most boring. I'm calling you out, Tim. Tim was the most boring, and why are we hating on Darcy? All right, Darcy, I love Darcy. Darcy, that's what someone calls him. His nickname is Darcy. I love Darcy. In fact, Darcy's making it to the end of this game. Mark my words. If one boring dumbass can do it, another one can. Sorry, Darcy, you're not a dumbass. They think you are. They think you're boring, Darcy, and draw. I would never say that, Darcy. Darcy, you are so fun. You're Canadian. You go a bolt. You want to go a bolt? Home. I love you, Darcy. These people.
Connor, do you want to throw down? You want to throw down right now? You want to throw down?
Come at me, hairy bastard. I don't give a.
How was I boring? I was laughing. I made some jokes. I don't deserve this treatment.
It was a petty laugh. It was a petty laugh, Tim. Darcy can get a real laugh. You know why? Because he goes on call. Hi, I'm Darcy. I love Darcy. I love him so much. Y'all are hating on him. Y'all should go to hell. But as far as I'm
making top 6, how was that hating on him?
I said
Darcy's getting 2nd place. Darcy's making it at the end, and he's going to deserve the win in my book, but he's going to get 2nd. He's going to get robbed to someone else who I have not mentioned, but it's in my head. But you know what? Y'all can go to hell. And Darcy's going to be the one at hell being like, y'all bitches deserve this shit. He will never say that, though, because you don't curse. Just because you don't curse don't mean you're entertaining. Man, y'all stupid.
So now Connor's finished having his breakdown. Jimmy?
Darcy, okay, so the things that have been said about Darcy have me surprised because I picture Darcy as that person who's just so likable that nobody wants to vote that person out. And then makes it all the way to the end and you just barely get them out in time. So I have him out at 4th place.
Okay. Jack and Kevin in whichever order you want to give them, Jack.
So, I'll start with Kevin because actually him and I basically have the same position. I don't know Darcy. Kevin doesn't know Darcy. Kevin says 10th, just saying right in the middle. And just for the record, he also says Tim sucks. Kevin was a flop winner and Jimmy was robbed. So with Darcy, I've seen him around. I've seen his name. I don't know who he is. He is a complete wild card for me. From what you guys are saying, he is a crackhead with potential to do really strategic things, but also fuck it up. So He sounds very much like me in the same respect that I am both very intelligent and a complete dumbass wrapped up into one, and it's a dice roll which one you'll get. So let's see. I went way too hard on the fucking middle. Because oh god. I am going to put Caleb down at 14th. And put.
You just dropped him 5 points.
I know! Because I didn't know he was such a fucking crackhead. And I'm going to put Darcy at 9th.
Okay.
But that doesn't say much.
Right. At this point, I'm going to try and give myself a long gap by going first on the next one and then last on the one after that. So we are on to Lee. So Lee, I think, has the potential to do incredibly well in this cast. He does have a strategic brain when he's paying attention. He does have a social game when he sort of doesn't get wound up. I don't think he's got that much of a physical game, but in some ways that could possibly help him. He was also my absolute favorite interviewee, and like, I know it sounds daft, but in some ways I think that kind of counts for things, because you want to see the players who come into interviews with good spirits, because they're more likely to be giving more energy to the games, and I do think you tend to do better when you're giving energy to the game. I literally have no idea what other people's perception is of him, which means that this could either be a very common or a very uncommon opinion. I am giving Lee my winner pick. Julian, you go, because I think you have to vanish fairly soon.
I'm driving right now. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, this is probably an unpopular opinion, but I love Lee. Like, he's one of my favorite people to host. He's one of my favorite people on the site. I will always have a top of him in my cast. He is very funny. He's very entertaining. He's very charismatic. Like, especially if you get him in a live game like an org, you get him on camera, he spouts off some nonsense. It's funny. Is he a good game player? Not necessarily. He does have a habit of nearly always going far in games. He's very good at going the distance. Will he win? I don't know. I'm actually putting him as my runner-up spot for this game. Like, I think he's going to be around for quite a while. So if you're someone who's not a fan of Lee, I'm sorry in advance, because he's going to do it. He won't win, but you'll be seeing a lot of him this season.
Well, that means I will not be watching this season.
Well, if Tim's already being bitter and acidic, so go on, carry on.
I'm going to go Grace first. I think that Lee has a good chance here to do well. I can see him working through all the crazies in the cast since he plays well and he's also crazy. I'm just kidding. I said that. And doesn't have any pre-mates here. I think he's going to get like late Jerry. Unfortunately, I have to agree with all of you that he's probably going late game. Does that mean I want him to go late game? Fuck no. I want him to go first over literally anyone else's cast. I want him to go over Nick, who I really don't like. So, I personally want him to get 18th. He's probably going to get... you know what? I'll go second. Because if he gets second... By the way, Julian, he does well in games. He got 30th out of 30th and 17th out of 17th consecutively. So I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'll say second. Done.
Okay, well, I've hosted him in a total of 5 games. 6 if you want to count the big crossover that we did. And out of those 6 games, his worst placement is 8.
Okay, yeah, but I don't count your group games because I wasn't in any of them. So I was in one game with him, and I sent him home first.
All right. So for me, Lee has always filled that role of the villain that I don't want to go far and keeps persisting. I have him down as 6th.
I
Jack.
will take the next shot because I love Lee so much. He is someone I played with in 1984 season 1, and I've known him for a while. There's so much about him. He's so charismatic. He knows exactly what to say to people. He's incredibly smart. He can win comms. He is honestly someone I expect to go very, very far. There is one catch, though, and people have mentioned it before. He is always, and when I say always, I mean every single damn time anything happens, he is the villain. And unless he can twist the game, no, Dick still lost that season. What am I saying? I honestly think he's going to end up in a Danielle and Dick situation where the person next to him, even though they work tightly with him, they're going to be more likable and people are going to give them the win. So once again, I'm going to say 2nd, and I'm really happy that everyone is placing him really high because I think then we are all thinking the exact same thing, that he's going to go far, but he's not going to get it at the very end.
He's
What
quality.
does Kevin say?
So, yes, Kevin. So Lee, for one, is an awful person for supporting the sepia #manpower. But I fully believe he goes far, but falls just short of the end. And he thinks he's getting 4th. But in reality, I do like Lee, and I expect to see him do well.
And that leaves Connor.
Can I just say, I understand he might be a villain to some people, but he will not be the villain of the season. The villain of the season is the production team for casting Caleb DeBoss. That's the real key, all right? Y'all, what's wrong with y'all? Y'all are disgusting. Anyways, I see Lee.
Try to talk Lee out of that casting decision? Well, you are wrong, sir.
I knew you would, Julian. You know why? As much as about people on crack, that's your go-to pastime. So I know what's up, Julian. Anyway, as far as I'm sitting, Lee will do well. I'm not gonna go out here and say he'll be the player of the season. I will go out here and say that he will make it very, very, very far. I do see him being one of the people at like final 6, final 5, where you're like, oh, if he gets to the end, will I vote for him? Maybe I might vote for him, but you don't have the opportunity because I believe people get cut before then. I'm gonna say 5th for Lee.
Okay, that Connor's on one, so Connor can carry on. We're going on to Michael, if he knows anything about him.
Do y'all remember earlier when I said somebody has to beat Darcy in the end? I'm gonna say it's gonna be Michael. I don't know Michael really that well. I know him a little bit. I know of him. I know what kind of people. I know enough people will know of him. I think where he won't be really like, who's Michael? Because I know of him, and if I know of him, I'm sure other people will know of him as well. What I know about him, what I've seen, which is not much, I have to go based on what I feel in my gut. My gut's telling me to eat something, but it's also telling me that Michael will win the game. I genuinely see Michael winning. I feel like this cast is someone that he can really eat up with. I see him making some of the power moves at the end of the game. I don't think people will see him as a threat until like he's booting people out the door. He's normal enough, but also like charismatic enough, smart enough, based on what I think I've seen of him. I'm gonna say he's my winner pick.
Okay, let's go to Jimmy.
Oh my god. Okay, yeah. So I know nothing of Michael. He's as equal to Pete for me. I know nothing. I put him at 10 for all the same reasons.
Okay, fair enough. Let's go to Jack then.
Michael is a very, very interesting case because I have not seen anything of Michael whatsoever. However, I do think he is very, very well suited to go far. From the only exposure that I've had to him is various Skype chats. And through those Skype chats, he has been amazing. He's talked to people constantly. He's constantly been people's ear, and honestly, I kind of like it. Uh, so Kevin says I don't know too much about Michael, but I think if a Tumblr Alliance forms, Michael will be the best player from that. I think he goes very far and gets fifth, and potentially in consideration for player of the season. So because he's Tumblr, of course he's gonna win. But I'm kidding, of course. He's gonna go incredibly far. But I do have him as fifth as well, just because I think, just based off of everything, a social game is not enough to get you to the end. You also need a physical game, and I just don't know where he's at with that compared to the other people I have in my top four.
Okay, let's go Tim.
All right, I'm gonna go Grace first. I don't know how Michael is as a player, being from that Tumble community. I can see him doing really well and working with like Darcy and Keaton. I see him like Jerry as well. Just because I don't know him, he's gonna be my winner pick. Next.
That's one of the bizarrest logic strings I've ever come across, but let's go with it. Julian.
I will be going last. Everyone that has not gone yet, go before me.
Yeah, so Julian.
Have you spoken on Michael yet?
Oh shit, no, I haven't. Yeah, no, that's a good point. I think Michael has a really good chance. He's a good player. I've seen that from how he's done in Tumblr games that I've been loosely following. He's likable, so he's got a good social game. His physical game on things like puzzles and any other kind of mental comp is somewhat lacking. However, he will do well in the actual physical comps, and he, could also get wins in luck comps. His strategy that he outlined to me seemed fairly sound. I've got him down as second.
All right, bitches, buckle up. So I've played with Michael 4 or 5 times now. Let me just read off some of his resume real quick, okay? First off, he's a triple threat. He's great at challenges, he's great at strategic game, and he's amazing at the social game, as y'all have probably picked up on from the viewers' lounges. Out of the 90-plus seasons of Tumblr Survivor, he's one of only 6 people to win more than once, and he's the only male to do it. He runs his own series, he plays all the time, and he wins most of the games he plays. I don't think I've ever seen him do worse than 5th in a game, except for his very first game, which I was personally responsible for taking him out of, and then I went to home the next round. Whoops. So, Michael is winning this game, period. If anyone that is not Michael wins this game, I will be floored. He is an amazing player. He knows when to stand out. He knows when to blend in. He knows when to do crazy shit and make moves. He knows when to sit back and let other people take control. This is a cast that is going to murder each other. And as I said before, I do think the Tumblr people are going to take control this season. And of them, Michael is going to be the dominant one who wins the season. He is an insanely good player. And again, if anyone that is not him wins this season, I'm going to be floored. Someone please mute me now. There's like 5 cars oncoming, and one of them might be a cop.
Okay, so from someone that several people has picked as their winner, the only logical progression is to move on to Heather. Connor, off you go.
So this is really important because I gotta make sure what numbers I got left because okay, let me do this math. So, do I have this one? Okay. Okay. Heather is Heather. She's kind of nuts, but I think a lot of people like that, at least from as long as you're like away from it. Like I think like people like Heather from afar. People like to like watch Heather from afar. When you're around Heather, I think a lot of people aren't really that big of a fan of Heather, depending on who they are. I just don't see her going early for multiple reasons. One being so much other people that are just as nutty as her, but also more threatening gameplay-wise than her. I see her, some of the more capable players dragging her along, or at least trying to. I see her kind of just like floating by, or like not really being viewed as anything until one day she opens her mouth, gets someone mad at her, and gets 11th. So I'm gonna say she gets 11th.
Okay, Jimmy.
I have never played with her. I've never met her. I have never spoken with her, and I have never seen her play because she's always going out so early. And just based on that, I have her at 17. First boot.
10.
She seems nice. I'd like to meet her.
Yeah, she's one of the. She's not winning. If she gets jury, I will be shocked. I don't even know if I have any spots left in pre-jury, but I don't care. Let's go to Grace before I make my pick. Oh, this is our first boot. She is so messy, and I can already see her fighting with Nick tonight. But I think she's going to piss people off, and that's what'll send her out the door. The one thing going for Heather is that people know she's bad at this game. So they're probably like, we could probably keep her in a la season 4 of 1984, where they just kind of kept her for like maybe 1 or 2 weeks, and then she won a POV here or there. I could see her getting around 2 weeks. I'll say 15th. Just because I think Caleb, Colby, and Cameron are there, so she has a chance of not getting first boot, but I don't see her making jury.
Okay, Jack.
I want to speak last on this one, so I'm going to pass the bomb to Connor.
Connor's been, I guess, Julian, if he can speak.
Yeah. I love Heather. I actually am probably one of the few people that genuinely enjoys playing games with her because she's someone that I work really well with. I get why people don't like her because she can be a lot to deal with. I suppose you could say it like that. That said, I do firmly believe that everyone in the org community needs the HLC experience at least once. It is sort of a rite of passage at this point to have played.
I've never got to play with her, and I'm sad.
Experienced HLC in some way because, like, you just have to. It's one of those things at this point. As far as her actual game, as someone already said, I think it was Tim, actually, there's a lot of people in this cast who I can see going before her. Like, you got Colby, you got Cameron, you got Caleb. I think at least those 3 will be gone before Heather. She's going to get in some fights, probably with Nick at the very least, probably with Colby since he's already mentioned wanting to do shit with her, which I can only assume means start a fight because it's Colby, and that's just a thing Colby does. But I don't think she's going home super early. I don't know if she's going to make jury, but we're going to see her around for a few weeks at minimum. I'm going to give her like 12th. Or if I give that to Brian, 13th. Whichever one of those 2 I didn't give Brian.
You didn't give either of them to Brian. I think you gave Brian... you gave Brian 11th, but you gave Annette 13th, so let's go with 12th. So that leaves Jack and or Kevin.
Heather. Oh, I love her so much, but at the same time, she's fucked. It's so bad. As much as I love Heather, she will never win a game unless winning that game involves getting dead last. So I'll just start with Kevin's piece. Heather is by far the lowest. I don't see her as a viable threat. 16th, I go back to what I said in Trinity. Who the fuck is Heather Lee? So I have played with Heather before in something I mentioned multiple times now, 1984. I played with her in season 4, and she is very chaotic. She fought with Nick, and already there has been a tiny fight within the time of this call, which is a little bit less than the amount of time the house chat has been open. Heather and Nick have already gotten into a spat. It's a very, very small spat of Nick calling Heather a rat and Heather being like, the fuck is wrong with you? But Kevin said it best. If she's fighting with Nick, they will win the battle 100 out of 100 times. Heather is a very polarizing figure who has 0 social game, 0 physical game, 0 mental game. What she has is the ability to start fights. And as much as I would love to see her win, she's just going to be used by someone else until she's voted out pre-jury. And I, as much as I don't want to say it, I have her at the same position I did for 1984, which is 15th. I love you, Heather, but, like, you're a mess.
Okay. So that brings us on to our penultimate player, who is Blake. Jimmy, you can go first.
All right, Blake. Blake is the other person, just like me, is always fulfilling that role of the villain that I just don't want to see go far into the game, but they're always there, always surviving, always making the right moves. I see Blake going far. God, where did I put him at? Oh no, I guess I didn't. Oh shit, no, that's right. No, because of all the complications, because of the relationships, and the difficulty of trying to get through with that. I didn't see that group making it past the first quarter of the game, so I have him put at 12. But God, without those complications, I always see him going far. He's just that guy.
Fair enough. Jack.
So sorry. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not
Kevin,
gonna do
go
a text
ahead.
one. Okay, hold on. Here, I'll stand. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna have to change my winner pick with this. So I originally was thinking Blake, but you know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm changing my winner pick to Losing Stin. I'm gonna think that Losing Stin's gonna actually win this, and I do believe that. Z, where did I put Nick? In my
6th.
Okay. So I do believe that Billy will be the one out of those 4 to fall first, and I could see those 3 making a run, with Nick and Blake going out back to back, with Blake going out 5th. Whether it be Livingston hopefully cutting them, or something happening, but I think based on this cast assessment, there's a lot of unlikable people in this cast and a lot of chaotic people. So I think if Blake and Nick can use that for their advantage, They have a chance to really go far in this game. So yeah, fifth. I like Blake. He seems strategic. Fifth. And
Okay.
Livingston won.
So Kevin, seeing as you seem to be one of the people actually trying to make sure you only use every number once, you had already put Michael fifth.
Okay, shoot. I'll fix some of my rankings a little bit later.
Okay, that's fine. Now Jack.
This is the fun one. I love Blake. He is incredibly smart. He knows exactly what he's doing at all times. He is very calculated, and he also knows how to explain himself well, and I think that's also why he is a good co-host. He can very much take the reins when he needs to be, but at the same time, he can lay back and have someone else do all the really, really hard stuff. I love you, Blake, and I love you, Michael. Anyway, I do see Blake going far, and this is my personal headcanon, but I've already revealed the other two, so I will say it now. Out of the LB and B alliance with the two pairs, Billy and Livingston, I see going out back to back just as jury starts, and then that alliance won't really matter anymore. But then I see Nick winning the game and Blake getting third because Lee won the final HOH and cut Blake. That is my headcanon. Just because Blake and Nick together are incredibly strong, and if they play it right, they win. They win outright. And if Nick gets cut, Blake wins. I don't see it in any other way. And of course, everyone else might disagree, but hey, that's how it works.
Fair enough. Tim?
I'm going to go to Grace first. Well, him and Nick are going to get targeted together, but I think they can put themselves in a place where they can be protected for a bit. I do think Blake makes it farther, though. He's getting like Majuri. Yeah, I think it just depends. We're pretty much just debating who gets part of this. Let's just say this I don't think this foursome is, but let's just say it is a thing. Who knows that it's actually going to be a thing? But I know it is a thing, but like, how long will it last? I think Blake makes it further only because he might win those comps that are necessary. I'm thinking he just gets cut 7th.
Yeah. Sure, you haven't used 7th.
Yay.
So real quick, I was just because I had placed Michael at 5th already. That was because I had already slotted Blake at 3rd, and I just forgot about it. So yeah, Blake 3rd. Pretty much agree with what 90% of the people are saying, except him.
I will go next on Blake. So I think that Blake is likely to go furthest of that foursome as well. I think I mean I have Nick down as going really early, and I think once Nick goes, Blake flourishes. I think potentially he can even turn his back on Livingston and Billy at that point, which is why I have those two also going quite early as well. I think the pattern for Blake's game seems to be that he plays really well, but nobody wants him with them at the end because he's quite liable to win, and also occasionally because he can be too much of a gobshite, and like they sort of don't necessarily want him given the opportunity to sway anyone. That said, I do think he goes really far. I have him down as 4th. Julian, do you want to talk?
Yes. So, Blake Murphy is the king of fourth place. He's gotten it twice in Trinity, he's gotten it in YouTube Survive, he's gotten it in Facebook orgs, and I'm pretty confident he's getting fourth place here too. Blake is a stellar game player, but he's the type of person who can't convince anyone at the end of the game to want to sit next to him. And I also don't see him winning out in this cast. So, like, he's going to go far, but he's going to fall short because he can't get people to want to sit next to him, and he can't win out. So those are basically my two main points. Like, Blake is a great person and a great player. And he's definitely going to be the last out of the LB&B alliance. But that's about where it ends for him.
Okay, so Julian's given Blake fourth, which means that Blake is now the third person that Julian has put in fourth.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You also haven't used third and fifth, so do you want to order Livingston, Billy, and Blake in some way?
Yeah, I'm going to have to
Me and Julian thinking this LKB alliance is going to make it to...
No, I'm going to have to rearrange this because I definitely think... well, I'll talk about it later.
I was so impressed that you had it all in your head. Now I come to find out.
Yeah. Now he just thinks everyone's going to get knocked out at 4 in that alliance. Just they're going to take a triple eviction at Final 4 and just walk out the door together.
We have to start all over now.
Yeah. It's all over now. After this, I want to see what numbers I repeated because I'm sure mine's going to be easy to change though.
Yeah, you've got a couple of 14ths and a couple of 9ths.
Yeah.
Connor, that leaves you on Blake.
So, I also see Blake doing really, really well. I have him at third. I see what happening is Michael, Darcy, Blake, final 3. Michael wins the final H2H, takes out Blake, brings us to the end. Michael gets the win. I think the only thing, I think we all can agree that Blake's going decently far and doing well. The only thing I see in this whole thing hurting Blake is with Nick and how I guess vocal they're being already. You can only imagine how soon people will try and take out Nick. I imagine Nick will go before Blake. My worry is knowing how emotional Blake can be. I worry about him putting his game on the line to save Nick, putting himself in a bad position to save Nick's game. I worry about him being a target because of that. I worry about him having to work from the ground up because of that. I know Blake, as much as he's very, very smart, when his heart's with something, it's very hard for him to not ignore that. And I don't want him to hurt his game because of a Nick relationship, especially if there's no hope saving Nick. If he can move forward with that and not be so weighed down because of it, I genuinely see him making final 5. I still put him at third, and I think he can do really, really well. And I think he can quite possibly run this game.
Okay, so that brings us on to our final person, and that is Alex. And now that he has, by the looks of what just happened, half undressed himself, we'll go to Jack.
Okay. First off, fuck you. That was my shirt being too damn low. Or high. I don't care. Anyway. I never know how to feel about Alex. This is his first time back after 6 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
Longer?
See, I played with him in Season 1 of 1984. But I don't remember him because he went out really, really, really early. And I don't think he actually did anything. He has a pretty strong reputation, but I don't know obviously much again. So I kind of placed him into the last spot I have, and I believe it's probably inaccurate. But I have him at 16th because I don't know if he can get the social connections and he might do something stupid. But I'm probably
He
very,
literally just needs to sit on his. He could go inactive and stay for 3 weeks. Like, honestly, with this cast.
You're not wrong. So that's probably something I'm going to change before I submit like my final ranking. But at the moment, my only spot open is 16th. So I might move some people up or down.
I mean, it's fair. It's fair.
Well, as Tim is already mocking people, he can go next.
I don't even know what spots I have left. Maybe you can tell me. So while you do that, I'm gonna look at Grace's. LMFAO, Blake versus Alex Part 2. I think Alex is going to do okay for a bit, but I see him fighting with Nick and Blake a lot, which I can see be his downfall. I think he gets, like, late pre-jury. So it depends on... I think it depends on the Blake and Nick. If they want to target him first, he could get 16th. If he can repair that relationship with Blake or with Nick, I think he's set to at least make jury at the minimum. It just depends on his social relationship with them. So who do I have left?
I can't see a 10th or a 12th.
I'll say 12th.
Or an 11th, actually. Yeah,
I thought
you don't
I
have
had
anyone
two
in 10,
11s.
11, or 12.
Okay.
No, you have 2 14s.
Okay. Well, okay. We'll change it. Next.
Okay, 12th. I'll go, because there seems to be some disagreement, but I kind of agree with Jack, but when I was playing this out in my head, I kind of, like, I was scripting it as I was going along, which means I've given way too much thought to things that absolutely won't happen, but it's like the only way I could do it. So I've put Heather and Cameron in the first 2 boots because I think they're like the easy boots whilst everyone's trying to play nice. 15th is where I see Nick going, and I kind of think that if Nick goes, then Alex probably has some part in Nick going, which will make Blake angry and make Blake flare up, and if Blake flares up, Alex is his most likely target. So I think Alex goes immediately after Nick, so I've got him in 14th.
That's a lot of thinking.
No, that's exactly what I thought. So I thought all the same shit, except I feel that Alex is the one that comes out the winner of this confrontation. And I think that he has the ability at that point to slip back under the radar, make 0 enemies, and make it all the way to the end. Alex is my winner pick.
We've gone from one extreme
Hey,
to the
I've
other.
I have made it to the end twice with Alex. Am I the good player or is he?
Neither of you.
Oh, well, then what the fuck? What the
fuck? Go on, Connor.
So I've actually been, I guess I'm the only one who's been actually keeping track of this besides Z, and I've been marking as I go, so I know what spot I have left. You're welcome. But for me, when I saw this number on the board, I immediately knew who was going to get this number. I knew it was going to be Alex getting 10th. My reasoning for this is because I see Blake and his crew being able to appease Alex enough in the early weeks where Alex will definitely have his opinions, but they won't be as constant. But we all know how Alex Jackson is. When he gets something in his mind, he will never let it go. Never let it go until either they're out the door or he's out the door. And when he's out the door in the jury house or even in the pre-jury house, he still won't let it go. My thing is, I don't see him winning out of this, but I do see him making it far enough to the point where, like, with all these crazy people, he'll make it decently far, but everyone will be like, okay, easiest vote of the whole time. Alex got to go. I see him having opinions that might be wise that people should listen to. Like, for example, if he says we should get rid of the power couple on paper, people should be like, yes, that's a good point. But because Alex Jackson, we all know, will be the one pushing that point, when someone is so constant and someone is so aggravating, the point they have, no matter how good it is, suddenly becomes more annoying, and you don't want to listen to them. And suddenly that good point is just battered by one person. It's hard to want to do that. I think we all can agree that's how it is sometimes, and that's how it will be. And Alex Jackson will be the reason why a lot of these power couples prevail, because he'll be in the corner, send them home, and instead he'll get sent home, and they will prevail, because that's always what happens with Alex. I really hope he can, I don't want to say mature, but get to a point where he can get like not be as so constant with his thoughts and not be so like just set in his ways. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. You do you in your personal life. In these games though, that's not going to help you. I'd still love Alex as a friend. We've made up since our like a 10-hour fight in 1984 or whatever. He's a good friend of mine, but I'm just speaking from a game perspective. If he is the Alex Jackson I know he has been in the past, this is what I see happening. 10th.
Fair enough. Kevin, are you here? Do you want to talk?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm definitely gonna have to like really reevaluate my rankings before I like finalize them tonight. But if it's true that if it's gonna be Alex versus Blake and like Nick, I am sorry. I see anyone going against Nick going out in pre-jury. I think Nick is going to be the most powerful player in the pre-jury phase. And when does with the twist? At what point does someone come back? Do they come back in pre-jury?
Yeah, so how it will work is they will technically come back as a 13th player. They will have immunity for 1 week, which guarantees them at least 12th. And then if people want to make the easy vote of getting the comeback out before jury, they have 1 week to do it.
Okay, so I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to make this my bold prediction. I'm going to think Alex goes out twice. I'm going to think that he's going to lose the battle with Nick. He's going to go out. He's going to win the battle back, and then he's going to go out at 11.
You're putting a lot of pressure on him winning a competition there.
If you're having him going out at that point, then you've got 12th left, which is like the round before jury.
Sorry. That's what I meant. That's what I meant.
To win a competition, he has to bounce.
I meant him. I think he goes out, gets battled back, and then I think he goes out again right before jury.
See, I'm obviously not going to tell you what the battle back comp is, but I mean I don't know some of these players well enough to know how they're doing it. But let's just put it this way: it will definitely suit some people better than others, and I'm not sure where Alex would fit with that. But we'll see. And then my esteemed co-production, Mr. Julian, you can round us off.
All right, so I'm excited to see Alex get to play again. He has been gone for quite a while, and I don't remember when his last game was. It was either Trinity Survivor, Twilight Town, or Season 1 of 1984. I think it was Season 1. He played with Connor. Can you confirm that one, Connor? Was it Season 1?
What's your question?
When did you play with Alex?
Yeah.
Were you and Alex 1984 Season 1?
I was there too.
Yeah, 1984 happened after Twilight Town.
Okay, honestly, Jack, I forgot you were on that.
To be fair, that's easy to do.
Okay, but the thing that people know the most about Alex, at least in games, and he's been called for this several thousand times, is that he can be kind of a pathological liar. He will continue to lie about things even after the game's over, just because he has it in his head that that is the truth. Even though everyone around him knows it's not the truth, and everyone around him has the receipts that it's not the truth, he will continue to try to convince himself and everyone else of what he believes to be true. He can be a good player under the right circumstances. I do not believe these are the circumstances, though. Because, again, Blake hates him on a deep personal level after Twilight Town. They are not friends anymore. That game straight up killed their friendship. Connor watched it crash and burn at that tribal. I do think that there's going to be a face-off real quick between Alex and Blake, and I do think that Blake is going to come out firmly on top. I don't think Alex is going to go right away, though. I don't know what low placements I have left for Alex.
What?
You could go 14th.
Let's go with that.
Okay. All right. So that rounds off the cast assessment. We've picked, I think, 5 different winners between us. 3 people on Michael, and then Livingston, Lee, Alex, and who was the other one? I can't see the other
The dark
number one.
horse of the whole thing, Nick.
Oh yeah,
Y'all kinda
yeah,
sold
yeah.
on-
I found
y'all
your
kinda
one
sold
now.
on Michael.
Um, but yeah, I will send everybody their numbers just in case they want to rejig them slightly. I kind of hope you don't too much unless you actually have like fake numbers.
It's more so just to like, because there's some people on the cast that like I don't really know that well, so
Yeah.
hearing your guys assessment kind of alters how I have to view them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. But yeah, I will post the big list of what everybody's said and gone with in here. Anyway, you all know how the season's going to unfold in terms of twists and ideas. You all know who the cast are. You all know roughly where you're putting them. Hopefully, irrespective of whether we're completely right or completely wrong, this turns out to be a good season. And I don't know, maybe we'll do like a midway reunion of the assessors to find out who most deserves to be mocked or something like that. We'll do that when we hit jury or something. But yeah, thank you all for joining us on a fucking 2.5 hour cast assessment, you fucking weirdos. And I'll catch up with all of you soon. Thank you very
they're
much,
just gonna
and take
skip.
care.
They're just gonna skip to the part that they're actually being talked about, right?